The massive hall of the Galactic Council fell silent as Ambassador Tholkar stepped forward. His 8 legs clicked against the crystal floor as he moved to the center of the chamber. The lights dimmed, and a holographic display appeared above his head. Numbers floated in the air. Red numbers. Terrible numbers. 47 ships, Tholkar said, his voice echoing through the hall. 847 ships from 23 different species have entered human space in the last 100 years. The council members shifted in their seats. Some had tentacles that curled with worry. Others had feathers that stood up with fear. All of them knew what came next. Not one has ever returned. The silence grew deeper. Commander Velthara of the Galactic Fleet stood up. Her blue skin seemed to glow in the dim light. What do we know about these disappearances? Tholkar touched a control panel with one of his claws. The hologram changed. It now showed a star map. Human space appeared, as a red zone at the edge of known territory. The pattern is always the same, Tholkar explained. A ship enters human space. We receive their initial reports. Everything seems normal. Then, nothing. Complete silence. Senator Crixnell from the Vorthon Empire leaned forward. His large eyes blinked slowly. What kind of ships were lost? All kinds, Tholkar replied. The hologram showed different ship designs. Trade vessels, diplomatic ships, scientific research craft, even military scouts. Size doesn't matter. Purpose doesn't matter. They all vanish. The council chamber filled with worried whispers. Different species spoke in their own languages, but the fear was the same in all of them. Commander Velthara raised her hand for silence. Have the humans ever tried to contact us? Any demands, any threats? Nothing, Tholkar said. Human space remains completely silent. They don't respond to our messages. They don't try to expand their borders. They just exist, and anything that goes near them disappears. Admiral Yexton of the Hegemony War Fleet stood up. His metal armor clanked as he moved. I say we assume the worst. The humans are clearly hostile. They're probably building a massive war fleet using parts from our lost ships. Several council members made sounds of agreement. Others looked uncertain. But why wait? Asked Dr. Nathira, the council's chief scientist. Her green tentacles waved as she spoke. If they have 847 ships worth of technology and resources, why haven't they attacked us? Admiral Yexton's eyes glowed red. Maybe they're waiting, building up strength, planning the perfect moment to strike. Senator Colvin from the Peaceful Worlds Alliance shook his head. Or maybe they're not hostile at all. Maybe something else is happening to our ships. Like what? Tholkar asked. Senator Colvin was quiet for a moment. I don't know. Space is dangerous. There could be natural hazards we don't know about, or maybe the humans are trying to help our people and just can't send them back for some reason. Admiral Yexton made a harsh sound. Help them? 847 ships, Senator. That's not help. That's conquest. The arguing grew louder. Different species shouted in their own languages. Some wanted war. Others wanted peace. A few wanted to ignore the humans completely. Commander Velthara stood up and activated her command authority. The chamber fell silent. We need information, she said clearly. Real information, not guesses or fears. She walked to the center of the chamber, next to Tholkar. I propose we send a stealth mission into human space. Our best intelligence, ship with our best crew. Full sensor package, quantum communication array. They go in, find out what's really happening, and report back. Tholkar nodded slowly. The risk is high. We could lose another crew. The risk of not knowing is higher, Velthara replied. If the humans are building a war fleet, we need to know. If something else is happening to our people, we need to know that too. Dr. Nathira raised a tentacle. What if the stealth ship also disappears? Then we'll know the humans can detect our best technology, Velthara said. That's still useful information. The debate continued for hours. Species after species stood up to speak. Some shared their own stories of lost ships and missing crews. Others talked about the fear spreading through their territories. The Keltharian delegate told about their missing exploration vessel from 60 years ago. The Morphic trade representative spoke about 3 cargo ships that vanished in the last decade. Even the powerful Vrex military had lost scouts near human space. As the day went on, the truth became clear. Every major species in the galaxy had lost something to human space. Friends, family members, valuable cargo, important information, all gone without a trace. When the final vote came, it was unanimous. Commander Velthara would personally select the crew for the mission. Captain Zextal of the Vrex would command the operation. His ship, the Shadow's Edge, was the most advanced stealth vessel in the galaxy. The mission would launch in 1 week. As the council session ended, the delegates moved in small groups, talking quietly among themselves. The fear was still there, but now it was mixed with hope. Finally, they would have answers. Tolkar remained in the chamber after everyone else left. He stared at the holographic display showing human space. The red zone seemed to glow with menace. Commander Velthara approached him. "You seem worried, Ambassador." Tolkar's many eyes focused on her. "I keep thinking about the pattern. 847 ships, all different, all lost. What could do that?" "We'll find out," Velthara said firmly. "Will we?" Tolkar asked. "What if Captain Zexital's ship becomes number 848? Velthara didn't have an answer for that. A week later, the Shadow's Edge launched from the secret military base at Kepler Station. The ship was invisible to most sensors. Its hull was made from materials that bent light around them. Its engines produced no heat signature. Even its communications were quantum encrypted and untraceable. Captain Zextal stood on his bridge looking at the star map. Human space was still 3 days away at maximum stealth speed. "All systems ready, Captain," reported his science officer, Lieutenant Vardek. "Sensors are calibrated, communication array is active. Stealth field is holding steady." "Good," Zextal said. "Remember, we're not going in to fight, we're going in to learn. Whatever we find, we observe and report, nothing else." His crew nodded. They were all volunteers. All of them had friends, or family members on ships that had vanished near human space. Engineer Thoxal checked his readings one more time. "Hull integrity is perfect, Captain. We're ready for anything." Medical Officer Hedara looked up from her instruments. "Life support. Systems are optimal. Medical bay is prepared for any discoveries we might make." Zextal looked at his crew. Good soldiers, good friends, people who trusted him to bring them home safely. He hoped he could. "Set course for human space," he ordered. "Maximum stealth. Let's go find out what happened to our people." The Shadow's Edge disappeared into the darkness between the stars, carrying with it the hopes and fears of an entire galaxy. Behind them, the Galactic Council waited, and ahead of them, human space waited too. Neither side knew that in 3 days, everything would change. The truth about human space was stranger than anyone could imagine, more dangerous than the worst fears of the Warhawks, and more wonderful than the wildest dreams of the Peace faction. But first, Captain Zextal and his crew had to reach the border, and then they had to survive what they found there. Minho Kim was drinking his morning coffee when the alarm chimed softly through his office. He set down his cup and pressed the communication button on his desk. "Yes, Yuna?" "We've got another one, Minho," came the voice of Yuna Park, head of the Colonial Defense Force. Long-range sensors picked up an alien vessel about 6 hours out from the outer markers. Minho sighed and opened his computer. The same routine they had followed for over a century appeared on his screen. First contact protocol, revision 847. Each revision was named after a successful integration. "What type of ship?" he asked, already pulling up the preparation checklist. "Looks like a stealth vessel," Yuna replied. "High-tech, military design. Probably Vrex based on the energy signature." "Stealth?" Minho raised an eyebrow. "That's new." "Yeah, they think they're being sneaky. Should we let them know we can see them?" Minho thought about it. In the early days, humans had tried to contact alien ships directly. Most of the time, this scared them away. The few who stayed often took months to trust their hosts. Better to let them observe first. No. Let them. Watch for a while. They'll make contact when they're ready. He pressed another button on his desk. Daeho, are you there? Daeho Lee's voice came through the speaker immediately. Already on it, Minho. I'm pulling up everything we know about Vrex culture. Preparing. Standard welcome packages in their language. How's your Vrex? Minho asked. Better than my Keltharian, worse than my Morphic, Daeho replied with a laugh. I'll manage. Besides, we have plenty of native speakers now. That was true. New Jeju colony now had residents from 847 different species. The longest-staying residents often became the best ambassadors for newcomers. Minho walked to his window and looked out at the colony. In the streets below, humans worked alongside dozens of different alien species. A group of Keltharian children played with human kids in the park. Morphic traders chatted with human merchants at the market. Vrex engineers worked with human construction, crews on a new residential building. To an outside observer, it might look impossible. 847 different species, all living together peacefully, all choosing to stay instead of going home. His door chimed. Come in, Minho called. So-Young Choi, the colony's chief medical officer, entered with a data pad in her hands. Medical facilities are ready, she reported. We have specialists for Vrex physiology standing by. Quarantine chambers are prepared, though we probably won't need them. Probably? Minho asked. So-Young smiled. Well, they're military. Might have some psychological barriers to work through. But the usual process should handle it. The usual process. Minho sometimes marveled at how routine it had become. When the first alien ship had arrived 127 years ago, the entire colony had panicked. Now it was just another Tuesday. His communicator buzzed. Minho, it's Wanbin. Wanbin Jung was the colony's cultural liaison specialist. I'm getting the integration team ready. Do we know anything about this particular crew? Not yet, Minho replied. Yuna says it's a military stealth ship, probably here for reconnaissance. Ah, Wanbin said. The suspicious ones. I love a challenge, Minho grinned. Wanbin had a gift for putting nervous aliens at ease. He spoke 17 different alien languages fluently, and had helped integrate some of their most difficult cases. How many are we expecting? So-Young asked. Standard. Vrex military crew, Daeho said over the intercom. Probably 5 to 7 individuals. Captain, science officer, engineer, medical officer, maybe a few specialists. I'll prepare 7 welcome packages, Wanbin said. Better to have too many than too few. Minho sat back in his chair. The team was already moving into action. After 47 successful integrations, they had the process down to a science, but it hadn't always been easy. The first alien visitor, Ambassador Kethmore of the Keltharians, had arrived by accident. His ship had been damaged in a meteor storm. Human rescue ships found him drifting near Pluto and brought him to Earth for medical treatment. The plan had been simple: help him, fix his ship, send him home. Nobody expected what actually happened. Kethmore was supposed to stay for a week. He stayed for 3 months. During his recovery, humans treated him not as an alien specimen to be studied, but as a person who needed help. They shared their food, their entertainment, their stories. They asked about his culture and listened, with genuine interest. When his ship was repaired, Kethmore didn't want to leave. Your people, he had told the human doctors. You see me as a friend, not as other. This is new for me. The Keltharian government had ordered him home immediately. They were terrified that extended contact with humans would contaminate their culture. But Kethmore had already made his choice. He filed for asylum and became the first permanent alien resident of Earth. The pattern repeated itself with every visitor. Morphic traders who came for a quick business deal ended up staying for years. Vrex military scouts who were supposed to gather intelligence for a week decided to defect permanently. Scientific researchers who came to study human culture became part of it instead. The galaxy began to notice that ships went into human space but never came out. Minho, Yuna's voice interrupted his thoughts. The alien ship just changed course. They're heading for the outer colonies instead of the main system. Smart, Deho commented. They want to observe without being detected. Should I alert them why? Outer stations? Tell them to act naturally, Minho said. Don't change any routines. Let our new visitors see normal life. Normal life in human space was unlike anything else in the galaxy. Where other species built separate colonies for different races, humans built integrated communities. Where others saw aliens as foreign and dangerous, humans saw potential friends and family members. It wasn't planned. It wasn't a strategy. It was just how humans were. Dr. Sarah Chen, the colony's xenopsychologist, had tried to explain it in her research papers. Humans, she wrote, had evolved as social creatures who formed bonds with anything that seemed intelligent and friendly. Most species in the galaxy had evolved to fear the different and unknown. Humans had evolved to embrace it. The Vrek ship is maintaining distance, Yuna reported. They're using passive sensors only. Very professional. Good, Minho said. Let them watch. What are they seeing? Construction project at Station 7, Yuna replied. Mixed crew of humans, Keltharians, and Morphics working together. Trade negotiations at Station 12 between human merchants and those new Keltharian family groups. Oh, and that Vrek's cultural exchange program at Station 15. Minho nodded. The cultural exchange program had been Wanbin's idea. Vrek's military refugees who had arrived years ago now taught their combat techniques to human and alien security forces. In return, they learned human management and teamwork methods. Sir? So Young was looking at her datapad with a puzzled expression. I'm getting some interesting readings from the stealth ship. What kind of readings? Their quantum communication array is active. They're sending regular reports back to somewhere. But there's something else. Their internal communications are increasing. Crew talking to each other more than usual for a stealth mission. Wanbin laughed. They're getting curious, probably asking each other questions about what they're seeing. That's normal, Deho added. Most aliens expect to find prison camps or military installations. Instead, they see families having picnics and kids playing in the park. Minho's communicator buzzed with an incoming message. He read it and smiled. What is it? So-Young asked. Message. From Kethmore, Minho said. He's offering to help with the Vrek's integration when they're ready. Kethmore was now 127 years old and considered the elder statesman of the alien community. He had helped welcome every new group of refugees for over a century. He's still on Earth, right? Yuna asked. Yes, but he's coming back to New Jeju next. Week for the cultural festival, Minho replied. The cultural festival was another human invention. Every year, all the different species in human space came together to share their foods, arts, and traditions. It had started as a small gathering and grown into the galaxy's largest multicultural celebration. Perfect timing, Wanbin said. If the Vreks are still watching by then, they'll get quite a show. Minho stood up and walked back to his window. In the distance, he could see one of the outer monitoring stations. Somewhere beyond that, an alien military crew was watching them, trying to figure out what had happened to their missing people. Soon they would understand. Not because humans would force them to. Not because of threats or violence, but because humans would do what they always did when meeting someone new. They would be kind. They would be welcoming. They would treat the aliens like family. And like everyone else who had come before them, the Vrek's crew would have to make a choice. Go home and report what they had seen, or stay and become part of something bigger than they had ever imagined. Minho had a feeling he knew which choice they would make. After all, nobody ever really wanted to leave paradise once they found it. And human space, despite what the galaxy believed, was as close to paradise as most species had ever seen. Captain Zextal stood on the bridge of the Shadow's Edge, staring at the sensor readings in disbelief. His ship had crossed into human space 3 hours ago and nothing made sense. Lieutenant Vardek, run those scans again, he ordered. His science officer's claws tapped across the control panel. The same impossible results appeared on the main screen. Confirmed, Captain. I'm detecting life signs from 847 different species on the planets below, including Vrex signatures. Vrex? Zextal's eyes narrowed. How many? At least 40 individuals, sir. Maybe more. The readings are scattered across multiple settlements. Engineer Thoxall looked up from his station. Sir, I'm picking up communication frequencies from dozens of different species. They're all talking to each other, in multiple languages. Some are even using human translation protocols. Captain Zextal had expected to find shipyards full of scrapped alien vessels, or prison planets where captured crews were forced to work as slaves, or massive military installations built with stolen alien technology. He had not expected to find what looked like the galaxy's largest multicultural society. Medical Officer Het Ara, any signs of distress from the alien life signs? Het Ara studied her readings carefully. No, Captain, heart rates are normal. Brain activity is consistent with healthy, unstressed individuals. If I didn't know better, I'd say they're happy. That's impossible, Zextal muttered. 40 Vrex warriors don't just decide to be happy on an alien planet. Captain, Vardek called out, I'm tracking some of those Vrex signatures. They're not in confinement. They're moving freely through the human settlements, working alongside humans on various projects. Zextal moved to the tactical display. Red dots showed Vrex life signs scattered across the planet's surface. Most were in the cities, mixing freely with humans and other aliens. Put up the visual feed, he ordered. The main screen changed to show the surface of the human colony world. Zextal expected to see concrete walls, guard towers, and military patrols. Instead, he saw tree-lined streets, parks full of playing children, and market squares where different species traded goods and shared meals. Focus on those Vrex signatures, he said. The image zoomed in on a construction site. Zextal watched in shock as 3 Vrex warriors worked side by side with humans and other aliens to build what looked like a residential complex. They wore no chains. No guards watched them. They seemed to be giving instructions to the human workers and laughing at shared jokes. This has to be some kind of trick, Zextal said. Humans must be using mind control or chemical agents. Het Ara shook her head. I'm not detecting any unusual chemical compounds in the atmosphere. No evidence of psychic manipulation. No signs of drug use among any of the species down there. Thoxall raised his hand. Captain, I'm intercepting human communication channels. They're discussing something called integration protocols and cultural preservation programs. Put it on speaker. A human voice filled the bridge, speaking in accented but clear Vrex. Remember, we need to have the new residential units ready before the next arrival. Vrex families need more space than most species, and we want them to feel comfortable. Another voice, this one clearly Vrex, responded in fluent human language. Understood, Wanban. We'll have the construction finished by next week. The new arrivals will love the mountain view. Zextal's jaw dropped. The Vrex voice sounded content, even eager to help. Sir, Vardek said quietly, I think I understand what's happening to our missing people. They're not being destroyed or enslaved. They're being absorbed. Absorbed how? Into human society. Look at the patterns, Captain. Ships arrive in human space for reconnaissance or trade. The crews interact with human colonies. Over time, they start working with humans on various projects. Eventually, they decide to stay permanently. Zextal studied the sensor readings again. 847 different species, all living together, all apparently choosing to stay in human space instead of returning home. But why? He asked. What do humans offer that makes entire crews abandon their homeworlds? Medical Officer Het Ara was studying psychological profiles on her screen. Captain, I've been analyzing human social behavior patterns. They have an unusual trait for a galactic species. What trait? They form emotional bonds with almost any intelligent species they encounter. Where most races see aliens as foreign and potentially dangerous, humans see them as potential friends and family members. Engineer Thoxall nodded. I'm seeing evidence of that in their communication patterns. Humans talk to other species the same way they talk to each other. No formal protocols, no social barriers, just friendship. That can't be enough to make people abandon their entire lives, Zextal protested. Can't it? Vardek asked softly. Captain, when was the last time someone from another species treated you as an equal, as a friend instead of a potential threat? Zextal was quiet. In Vrek society, interactions with aliens were formal and cautious. Military protocols governed every contact. Other species were viewed as competitors at best, enemies at worst. Focus. On one of the Vreks down there, he ordered. I want to hear how they talk about their situation. The communication system locked onto a Vrek signature in one of the human cities. A familiar voice came through the speakers, one that made Zextal's blood run cold. Captain Velkoth, he whispered. The voice belonged to a Vrek's military officer, who had gone missing 5 years ago. Captain Velkoth had been leading a reconnaissance mission that never returned. Yes, I understand your concerns, Velkoth was saying to someone. Moving to a new planet is always difficult, but I've been here 5 years now and I can honestly say I've never been happier. A younger Vrek's voice replied, But don't you miss the home world? Your military career? Velkoth laughed. Actually laughed, something Zextal had never heard the Vrek's officer do. I have a better career here. I help train the Colonial Defense Force. I work with humans, Keltharians, Morphics, and dozens of other species. My ideas are valued. My contributions matter. And when I go home each day, I go to a family that includes my human wife and our adopted Keltharian daughter. Zextal nearly fell over. Wife? Daughter? That's impossible. But the conversation continued. The humans didn't just offer me a job, Velkoth explained. They offered me a life, a real life with people who care about me as an individual, not just as a Vrek's warrior. The young voice asked, What about loyalty to the Empire? What loyalty did the Empire ever show me? Velkoth replied, I was a tool to be used. Here, I'm a person to be valued. The humans taught me the difference. Zextal turned to his crew. They were all listening with expressions of shock and wonder. Sir, Thoxal said slowly, I'm detecting something else. The humans know we're here. That's impossible. We're fully cloaked. They're not tracking us directly, but their communication patterns have changed since we arrived. They're talking about new arrivals and preparation for integration. I think they're getting ready for us to make contact. Lieutenant Vardek pulled up another communication feed. A human voice was speaking. Remember, they're probably scared and confused. Most species expect us to be hostile, be patient, be kind, show them that they have nothing to fear. Hetara looked up from her medical scanner. Captain, I need to tell you something. I've been monitoring the crew's psychological state since we entered human space, and our stress levels are decreasing. Heart rates are normalizing. Brain chemistry is showing patterns associated with curiosity and hope. Zextal felt it too. The constant tension that came with military life seemed to be easing. For the first time in years, he wasn't thinking about potential threats or battle strategies. It's their influence, he said. Humans must project some kind of calming field. No, sir, Hetara replied. I think it's simpler than that. We've been listening to them for hours. They talk to each other with kindness. They discuss their alien residents with genuine affection. They're planning ways to make us feel welcome if we decide to make contact. When we make contact, Vardek corrected. Sir, our mission was to gather intelligence and return to the Council. But what we've found, how do we report this? That was the real question. How do you tell the Galactic Council that humans aren't destroying alien visitors? They're making them happy? How do you explain that 847 ships didn't return because their crews didn't want to come home? Sir, Thoxal said, I'm receiving a direct transmission. It's aimed right at us. From humans? Yes, sir. Audio only. Should I put it through? Zextal hesitated. The moment they acknowledged the transmission, their presence would be revealed. The mission would change from observation to first contact. But his crew was looking at him with hope in their eyes. For the first time in his military career, Zextal found himself curious about what aliens might have to say. Put it through, he ordered. A gentle human voice filled the bridge. The speaker was female, and she spoke perfect Vrex. Hello, friends on the Shadow's Edge. My name is Soman O. I'm a psychologist here on New Jeju Colony. We know you're out there, and we want you to know that's perfectly okay. You're welcome to keep watching for as long as you need to. When you're ready to talk, we'll be here. There's no rush, no pressure. Just know that you have friends waiting for you whenever you're ready to meet them. The transmission included data packets, cultural exchange materials, language lessons, and invitations to community events. All translated perfectly into Vrex. On Earth, in a secure conference room beneath the United Nations building, Jiwon Nam stood before a group of the most important humans in the galaxy. As Secretary of Interspecies Affairs, she had been asked to explain something that most humans took for granted, but that terrified the rest of the galaxy. Why did no alien ever want to leave human space? The answer, Jiwon said, touching a control that brought up a holographic display, is both simpler and more complex than anyone realizes. The display showed brain scans from different species. Human brains glowed with activity in regions associated with social bonding and empathy. Years ago, when we first met Ambassador Kethmore, we discovered something unique about our species. We form emotional bonds with any intelligent life we encounter, not just with other humans but with anything that thinks and feels. Dr. Hyun-Woo Kang, the colony's leading xenopsychologist, nodded from his seat. Other species evolved to be cautious of the unknown. It's a survival trait. They see aliens as potential threats that must be watched and controlled. But humans evolve differently, Jiwon continued. We evolved to see intelligent life as potential family members. The brain scans changed, showing comparative studies between humans and other species when meeting aliens for the first time. When a Vrex meets a human, their brain triggers threat assessment protocols. They evaluate whether the human is dangerous, useful, or irrelevant. But when a human meets a Vrex, our brains trigger the same patterns we use when meeting a new neighbor or potential friend. Admiral Sarah Chen, head of Colonial Defense, leaned forward. That's why our first contact protocols work so well. We're not pretending to be friendly, we genuinely are friendly. Exactly, Jiwon replied. When Kethmore's ship was damaged and we rescued him, we didn't treat him as an alien specimen to be studied. We treated him as a person who needed help. The holographic display changed to show video footage from 127 years ago, a wounded Keltharian being carried into a human medical facility. The doctors and nurses moved with calm efficiency, talking to Kethmore in soothing voices despite not speaking his language. Watch their body language, Dr. Kang pointed out. The humans aren't afraid or cautious. They're concerned about his injuries. They want to help him feel better. During his recovery, humans shared their food with him, Jiwon continued, not because they had to, but because that's what humans do when someone is hurt and far from home. They invited him to watch their entertainment programs. They asked about his culture with genuine curiosity. The video showed Kethmore in a hospital room, surrounded by human staff who were clearly trying to communicate despite the language barrier. One nurse was showing him pictures of Earth animals. A doctor was attempting to learn basic Keltharian words. By the time Kethmore's ship was repaired, something had changed, Jiwon said. He didn't see humans as aliens anymore. He saw them as friends, and they saw him the same way. But it goes deeper than that, Dr. Kang added. He stood up and walked to the display controls. The image changed to show brain activity patterns during social bonding. Humans don't just befriend other species. We include them in our social groups. We treat them as part of our extended family structure. Within weeks of arriving, most aliens report feeling more accepted by humans than they ever felt in their own societies. The display showed survey results from hundreds of alien residents in human space. Question after question showed the same pattern. Aliens felt valued, respected, and loved by their human communities. That's the real secret, Jiwon said. It's not that we're perfect. It's that we're genuinely interested in making everyone feel like they belong. Director Yoonji Bae from the Cultural Integration Department raised her hand. I want to add something important. We're not trying to change the aliens who come here. We're not forcing them to become human. She activated her own presentation. The screen showed festivals, art exhibitions, and cultural exchanges from various human colonies. Look at New Jeju's annual culture festival. 47 different species, sharing their traditions. Keltharian poetry contests next to human music performances next to Vrex combat demonstrations. We don't ask anyone to give up who they are. Instead, added Wanbin Young via video link from New Jeju colony, we ask them to add who they are to our community. Every new species that joins us makes us richer, makes us more than we were before. The presentation showed mixed communities where different architecture styles blended together. Keltharian crystal gardens next to human parks next to morphic trading centers. The aliens don't stay because we force them to, Yunji said. They stay because we show them what it's like to live in a society where being different is seen as valuable rather than dangerous. Admiral Chen pulled up military reports. Even our armed forces reflect this philosophy. The Colonial Defense Force isn't a human military with alien auxiliaries. It's a truly integrated force where every species contributes their strengths. The screen showed mixed units training together. Vrex tactical expertise, Keltharian technical skills, morphic adaptability, and human organizational abilities, all working in harmony. Captain Velkoth, the Vrex officer we mentioned earlier, is now one of our best training instructors, Admiral Chen continued. He teaches combat techniques to humans while learning human leadership methods. His classes have the highest satisfaction ratings in the entire training program. Dr. Kang returned to the psychological data. What we've discovered is that most species in the galaxy are deeply lonely. They live in societies where conformity is required and differences are suppressed. Individual needs are secondary to group survival. But humans built societies around individual value, Jiwan added. Every person matters. Every voice should be heard. When we extend that philosophy to alien residents, they experience something many of them have never felt before. Personal worth, Yunji said softly. The feeling that they matter as individuals, not just as representatives of their species. The presentation showed personal stories from alien residents. A Vrex artist who had never been allowed to create art in the military-focused Vrex Empire. A Keltharian scientist whose research was considered too dangerous by his conservative government. A morphic trader who had been ostracized for wanting to study philosophy instead of commerce. In human space, the Vrex became a successful artist, Jiwan explained. The Keltharians' research helped develop new medical treatments. The morphic philosopher now teaches at 3 different universities. We don't just tolerate differences, Dr. Kang said. We celebrate them. We learn from them. We become better because of them. Admiral Chen brought up strategic implications. This is why the Galactic Council sees us as a threat. Not because we're militarily powerful, but because we're socially irresistible. Every alien who stays with us is proof that there's an alternative to their rigid, fear-based societies, Jiwan agreed. We represent change, and change terrifies those in power. Director Yunji pulled up recent intelligence reports. We know the Council has sent a stealth ship to investigate us, the Shadow's Edge under Captain Zextal. They're probably expecting to find prison camps or military installations, Wanbin said from his video link. Instead, they're seeing families, having picnics and children playing in integrated schools. What do we do when they make contact? Admiral Chen asked. Jiwan smiled. The same thing we always do. We treat them like potential friends and family members. We show them kindness, we make them feel welcome. We let them see what life could be like. And if they choose to stay? Dr. Kang asked. Then we help them build the life they've always wanted, Jiwan replied, just like we did for the other 847 crews who came before them. The room was quiet for a moment. Everyone understood the implications. The galaxy thinks we're conquering alien species, Admiral Chen said finally. But we're not conquering anyone. We're liberating them, Yunji added, from societies that see them as expendable, from governments that control their every choice, from lives where they're valued only for what they can contribute to the group. We're showing them that there's another way to live, Dr. Kang said. A way where individual happiness matters, where differences are strengths, where everyone belongs. Jiwan looked around the room at her colleagues. Humans who had dedicated their lives to building something the galaxy had never seen before. A truly inclusive civilization. The question isn't why aliens don't return from human space, she said. The question is, why would they want to? On the screen, live feeds from human colonies showed the daily reality of their civilization. Hundreds of species working together, learning from each other, building something bigger than any single race could achieve alone. We're not trying to threaten the galaxy, Jiwan concluded. We're trying to show them what's possible when fear stops controlling our choices. But that might be the most threatening thing of all, Admiral Chen observed. Outside the conference room, the Shadow's Edge continued its silent observation of human space, its crew growing more curious by the hour. Soon, they would have to choose. Return to a galaxy built on fear and separation, or stay and help build something better. The humans would welcome them either way. That was just who humans were. Captain Zextal stood in his private quarters aboard the Shadow's Edge, staring at a datapad that contained his mission orders. 2 weeks had passed since they entered human space, and everything had changed. The orders were clear. Observe human. Activities, gather intelligence on missing alien vessels. Report back to the Galactic Council within 30 days. But the crew wasn't following orders anymore. A soft chime at his door interrupted his thoughts. Enter, he called. Lieutenant Vardek stepped inside, carrying his own datapad and looking uncertain. Captain, I need to report something. What is it, Lieutenant? Vardek hesitated. Sir, I've been monitoring human cultural broadcasts for intelligence purposes, but I've been learning their music. Zextal set down his datapad and looked at his science officer carefully. In 2 decades of military service, Vardek had never shown interest in alien cultures. Music? Yes, sir. They have these incredible compositions that blend mathematics with emotion. I've been analyzing the mathematical structures, but also enjoying the aesthetic experience. Vardek activated his datapad. Soft human music filled the quarters. Zextal had to admit it was unlike anything from Vrek's space, complex yet somehow soothing. That's not all, sir, Vardek continued. I've been corresponding with human scientists about my research. They're genuinely interested in Vrek's scientific methods. One of them, Dr. Kim Sujin, has been helping me work through some theoretical problems I've had for years. Corresponding? Zextal's eyes narrowed. You're supposed to be gathering intelligence, not making friends. That's just it, Captain. I tried to maintain professional distance, but they don't treat me as an alien to be studied. They treat me as a colleague. Dr. Sujin doesn't care that I'm Vrex. She cares about my ideas. Another chime at the door. Zextal sighed. Enter. Engineer. Thoxal stepped inside, followed by Medical Officer Hetera. Both looked as uncertain as Vardek. Let me guess. Zextal said. You've been making friends too. Thoxal nodded sheepishly. I've been monitoring human engineering channels. Their technology is different from ours, but not inferior. They've developed solutions to problems we've struggled with for centuries, and I started asking questions, technical questions about their methods. Before I knew it, I was in regular communication with a human engineering team. They've invited me to collaborate on a new propulsion system design. Medical Officer Hetera stepped forward. Captain, I've been corresponding with human medical researchers. They've shared information about multi-species physiology that could revolutionize healthcare for all races. Zextal looked at his crew. These were disciplined military officers who had served with him for years. Now they looked like eager students discussing their favorite subjects. Do you understand what you're doing? He asked. You're compromising our mission. The humans know exactly who we are and why we're here. Actually, Captain, Hetara said softly, I don't think they do. What do you mean? They know we're Vrex military. They know we're observing them. But they don't seem to care about our mission. They're just interested in us as individuals. Vardek nodded. Dr. Sujin asked about my background, but not in an intelligence-gathering way. She wanted to know what made me interested in science, what I hoped to achieve with my research, personal questions. The engineering team keeps asking if I'm happy with my current work, Thoxal added. They seem genuinely concerned about my job satisfaction. Zextal walked to the viewport and looked out at human space. Below them, the colony worlds glowed with the lights of dozens of different species living together. His door chimed again. This time he didn't bother to say enter. The door opened automatically. A holographic figure appeared in his quarters. Human, female, middle-aged with kind eyes. She spoke in perfect Vrex. Hello, Captain Zextal. My name is Somino. I'm the psychologist who sent you the welcome message 2 weeks ago. Zextal's hand moved toward his weapon but stopped. The woman's posture wasn't threatening. She seemed concerned. How did you get through our shields? We've been able to detect your ship since you arrived, Somin said gently. But we haven't interfered with your mission. We wanted to give you time to observe and understand. Understand what? What really happens in human space? Why ships like yours don't return to their home governments? Zextal felt his crew tense behind him, but not with military alertness, with curiosity. Are you going to threaten us? He asked. Demand our surrender? Somin looked genuinely surprised. Why would we do that? You haven't done anything wrong. You're here to learn about us. We're happy to answer questions. She paused and looked around at his crew. I've been monitoring your communications with our scientists and engineers. I hope you don't mind. We like to make sure our new friends are getting the help they need. New friends? Zextal repeated. That's what you are, isn't it? People who are curious about our society? People who might want to be part of something larger than they've experienced before? Plow. Fardek stepped forward. Dr. O, may I ask you something? Of course. Why do you treat us as individuals instead of as representatives of our species? In the galaxy, Vrex are seen as warriors first, people second. But you and your colleagues talk to us as if our personalities matter more than our race, Somin smiled. Because they do matter more. Your species gives you certain characteristics, but your individual mind is what makes you unique. Dr. Sujin doesn't care that you're Vrex. She cares that you're a brilliant scientist with interesting ideas. But we're military, Thoxal protested. We're supposed to be your enemies. Are you? Somin asked. Have you done anything hostile since arriving? Have you threatened anyone? Damaged anything? Hurt anyone? The crew was silent. You've been curious, cautious, and polite, Somin continued. Those aren't the actions of enemies. Those are the actions of good people trying to understand a new situation. Zextal felt something strange happening inside his chest. For weeks, he had expected humans to reveal their true hostile nature. Instead, they kept being nice. What do you want from us? He asked. Nothing, Somin replied. We want to give you something, a choice. What choice? The same choice we give everyone who comes here. You can complete your mission and return to the Galactic Council with your report. We won't stop you. We won't threaten you. We'll even provide supplies for your journey home. Or you can stay and become part of our community, not as Vrex representatives or military officers, but as individuals who bring unique skills and perspectives to our society. Medical Officer Hitara stepped forward. What would happen to us if we stayed? You'd build the life you want to build, Somin said. Hitara, you're fascinated by multi-species medicine. You could work with our medical research teams, develop new treatments, save lives from dozens of different races. She turned to Thoxal. You could work with the best engineers in known space on projects that matter to you, not weapons or military systems, but technologies that improve life for everyone. Then to Vardek. You could pursue any research that interests you, with colleagues who value your insights and support your work. Finally, she looked at Zextal. And you, Captain, could lead. Not soldiers in combat, but communities in growth. We need experienced leaders who understand how to bring different groups together. But we'd be deserters, Zextal protested. Traitors to our species. Would you? Somin asked gently. Or would you be pioneers? The first Vrex to discover that there's more to life than military service. The room was quiet for a long moment. I need to think, Zextal said finally. Of course, Soman replied. Take all the time you need. If you decide to leave, we'll help you go. If you decide to stay, we'll help you build the life you want. The hologram faded, leaving the crew alone in the captain's quarters. Vardek was the first to speak. Captain, what do we do? Zextal looked at his officers. These people had served with him faithfully for years. Now they were looking at him with hope instead of discipline. What do you want to do? He asked. I want to stay, Vardek said immediately. I've learned more about myself in 2 weeks here than in 20 years of military service. So do I, Thoxal agreed. The humans don't see me as a tool to build weapons. They see me as someone who could help explore the stars. The medical possibilities here are incredible, Hedara added. I could help species throughout the galaxy. Zextal nodded slowly. And what about our duty to the Vrex Empire? What duty did they ever show us? Vardek asked quietly. We're expendable soldiers to them. Here we could be valued members of a community. Zextal walked back to his viewport. In the distance, he could see lights from the human colonies. Families were having dinner, children were playing, people from dozens of species were living together in peace. When was the last time he had felt peace? When was the last time anyone had asked what he wanted from life instead of what he could do for the military? Captain, Thoxal said softly. What do you want to do? Zextal closed his eyes and made the hardest decision of his military career. I want to send a message to the Galactic Council, he said. His crew tensed. I want to tell them the truth about human space. And then I want to find out what it's like to choose my own future. For the first time in decades, Captain Zextal smiled. The choice was made. 3 months had passed since the Shadow's Edge disappeared into human space. The Galactic Council chamber was filled with tension as military leaders from across the galaxy prepared for war. Admiral Yexton stood at the center of the chamber, his armor gleaming under the harsh lights. We must assume the worst. The humans have captured another one of our ships. This proves they are hostile and must be stopped. But we still have no proof of hostile intent, Senator Calvin protested. We don't know what happened to Captain Zextal and his crew. We know enough, Admiral Yexton replied. 848 ships, all lost. The time for investigation is over. The time for action has come. Around the chamber, delegates from dozens of species nodded in agreement. Fear had overcome caution. The unknown had become the enemy. Commander Velthera activated the main display, showing massive fleet formations gathering at the edge of human space. Operation Final Answer is ready to launch. We have enough firepower to destroy every human world in the galaxy. Ambassador Tholkar looked uncomfortable. Perhaps we should send one final diplomatic message. Ask the humans to return our people or explain what happened to them. We've sent dozens of diplomatic messages over the past century, Admiral Yexton said. The humans never respond. They just keep taking our people. The debate was interrupted by an urgent signal from the communications center. A young technician rushed into the chamber carrying a datapad. Counselors, she said breathlessly, we're receiving a transmission from human space. It's from multiple sources. What do you mean, multiple sources? Commander Velthara asked. The signal is coming from Captain Zextal's ship, but there are also transmissions from other vessels we thought were lost. Ships that disappeared years ago. The chamber fell silent. Put it on the main screen, Admiral Yexton ordered. The holographic O. Display activated, showing the bridge of the Shadow's Edge. Captain Zextal appeared, but he looked different. He wore civilian clothes instead of military uniform. His face seemed relaxed, almost happy. Greetings, Galactic Council, he said in a calm voice. I am Captain Zextal, commanding officer of the reconnaissance vessel Shadow's Edge. I am transmitting from human space to report the completion of our mission. Admiral Yexton leaned forward. Captain, report your status. Have you been captured? Are you being forced to make this transmission? Zextal smiled, something that shocked everyone who knew him. No, Admiral, I am here by choice. We all are. The view expanded to show other figures on the bridge. Some were Zextal's original crew members, but others wore the uniforms of different species and different ships. "I am Lieutenant Vardek, formerly of the Shadow's Edge," one figure said. "I now serve as a research coordinator for the Human Vrex Scientific Exchange Program." "Engineer Thoxal, now working with the Interspecies Engineering Consortium," said another. "Medical Officer Hitara, currently developing new treatments at the Multi-Species Medical Center," added a third. But then other figures stepped forward that made the council gasp in recognition. Ambassador Kethmore, formerly of the Keltharian Exploration Service. "I have lived in human space for 127 years and serve as Elder Advisor for Cultural Integration." Captain Velkoth, formerly of the Vrex 7th Reconnaissance Fleet. "I now train the Colonial Defense Force and live with my human family on New Terra." Trader Mordex of the Morphic Commercial Guild. "I established the first interspecies trading cooperative 15 years ago." One by one, representatives of the lost crews appeared on screen. All of them looked healthy, happy, and completely free. "This is impossible," Admiral Yexton muttered. "Some of these people have been missing for decades." Captain Zextal stepped forward again. "Council members, I need to explain what really happens in human space. Your people aren't being destroyed or enslaved. They're being welcomed." "Welcomed how?" Commander Velthera demanded. The transmission switched to show various human colonies. The council watched in amazement as hundreds of different species worked together, lived together, and played together in integrated communities. "The humans have built something unprecedented," Zextal explained. "A civilization where every species is valued for what they contribute, where individual worth matters more than racial loyalty, where differences are celebrated instead of feared." Ambassador Kethmore stepped forward. "I was the first alien to enter human space. My ship was damaged and humans rescued me. They could have studied me like a specimen or held me prisoner. Instead, they treated me like a person who needed help. They shared their food, their knowledge, their friendship," Captain Velkoth added. "When my reconnaissance mission ended, I was supposed to report back and recommend military action. Instead, I found myself part of a community that valued me as an individual, not just as a Vrex warrior." The display changed to show massive festivals where dozens of species shared their cultures, mixed families where humans lived with alien partners and children, and integrated workplaces where species barriers had disappeared. "But this is cultural contamination," protested Senator Crixenal. "How can you abandon your heritage, your loyalty to your own kind?" "We haven't abandoned our heritage," Trader Mordex replied. "We've enhanced it. I still practice morphic traditions, but now I share them with friends from 47 other species. My culture is richer now, not poorer." "The humans don't force assimilation," Medical Officer Hetara explained. "They practice integration. We keep what makes us unique while becoming part of something larger." Ambassador Tholkar raised a claw. "Captain Zextal, what about your loyalty to the Vrex Empire? Your duty to the Galactic Council?" Zextal was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was gentle but firm. "What loyalty did the Empire show me? I was a tool to be used and discarded. Here, I'm a person whose ideas and feelings matter. The humans taught me something the Empire never did," he continued. "They taught me the difference between duty and choice, between serving an institution and serving a community that serves you back." The transmission expanded again, showing a massive gathering in what appeared to be a stadium. Thousands of beings from hundreds of species filled the seats, all facing a central platform. "This is today's council session on New Terra," Zextal explained. "Representatives from every species in human space meet to make decisions about our communities. Every voice matters. Every opinion is heard." The camera focused on the platform, where humans and aliens worked together to address various issues. A Keltharian scientist discussed environmental protection. A morphic economist explained trade policies. A Vrex engineer presented infrastructure improvements. "This is what 848 crews discovered," Zextal said. "Not conquest, but cooperation. Not slavery, but partnership. Not destruction, but the chance to build something better than anything our separate species achieved alone." Admiral Yexton stood up, his face red with anger. "This is propaganda. The humans are using some form of mind control to make our people believe they're happy. Are they? Asked a new voice. The transmission changed to show a human figure. She was middle-aged with kind eyes, wearing simple civilian clothes. My name is Taehyun Yu, she said. I serve as Earth's ambassador to the galaxy. I'm here to extend an invitation to all members of the Galactic Council. What invitation? Commander Velthera asked suspiciously. Come and see for yourselves, Ambassador Yu replied. Send diplomatic missions to our worlds. Not spy ships or military scouts, but official delegations. See how we live. Talk to your people who chose to stay with us. Make your own judgments. You would allow this? Senator Colvin asked, surprised. Our borders have always been open, Ambassador Yu replied. We've been waiting for you to be ready to walk through them. The chamber erupted in arguments. Some delegates demanded immediate military action. Others wanted to accept the invitation. A few sat in stunned silence. Ambassador Kethmore raised his hand for attention. Council members, I understand your fear. Change is frightening. But I've lived among humans for over a century. I've watched them welcome every species that came to them. I've seen them build communities where everyone belongs. The question you must ask, Captain Zextal added, is not why we don't return to our homeworlds. The question is, why would we want to? The transmission showed more scenes from human space. Children of different species playing together in schools. Scientists from dozens of races collaborating on research projects. Artists creating works that blended traditions from across the galaxy. We're not trying to threaten you, Ambassador Yu concluded. We're trying to show you what's possible when fear stops controlling our choices. The transmission ended, leaving the council chamber in complete silence. Admiral Yexton looked around at his fellow delegates. The fear was still there, but now it was mixed with something else. Curiosity, hope, the possibility that everything they thought they knew about the universe might be wrong. What are your orders? Commander Velthara asked quietly. Admiral Yexton stared at the empty display screen for a long moment. Stand down the attack fleets, he said finally. Prepare diplomatic vessels for immediate departure to human space. Sir? Commander Velthara looked surprised. If 848 crews found something worth staying for, Admiral Yexton said, maybe we should find out what it is. Senator Colvin smiled for the first time in months. A wise decision, Admiral.